And the book I chose to do my presentation on was The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up Blank, A Counterintuitive Approach to Living a Good Life by Mark Manson. Before joining the LDP, I never would have picked this book up just because of the title. I thought it wasn't for me. But the LDP teaches us to challenge the process and take risks and do things outside of our comfort zone. So I picked up the book and I read it, and I'm so glad I did because I learned more from this book than any book I've ever read, and it was really, really interesting. So the book is divided into 9 chapters, as you can see here. Each chapter, Mark talks about a different leadership lesson, and he uses stories and things like that to describe each chapter, and so it really makes you feel like you're in the book with him. But the 3 here that are in blue are the ones that I'm going to focus on. So I'm going to talk about the key to happiness, your values, and how to choose your own destiny. So first is don't try. And the main message of this chapter is that acceptance leads to happiness. And this really just means that if you accept that bad things are going to happen, that'll lead to positive things because there's nothing you can do to stop those negative things from happening. They're inevitable. So if you just accept it, then you can find happiness. And Mark describes this using what he calls the backwards law, which is just that if you spend your whole life looking for positive things, you'll never have time for them. So when they come, they'll fly right by. And so you'll only ever experience negative things. But on the other hand, like I said, if you accept that negative things will happen, then you'll have that time to experience that happiness and those positive things. And Mark says that if you do this, you can live your life instead of searching for its meaning. When I first read this chapter, the first thing that popped out to me was definitely our LDP workouts. So as you can see, everyone in these pictures has a smile on their face. That's because we've all accepted that the workouts are not fun while we're there. They're really painful, but we know that they're going to benefit us in the future. And so we've all accepted the pain, and we know that everything's going to work out in the long run. So the next chapter I wanted to talk about was the value of suffering. And in this chapter, Mark talks a lot about values themselves. So that's what I wanted to focus on. So he defines values as metrics by which we measure ourselves and everyone else. And I really like this quote because he mentions everyone else. And it's really true because your values don't just affect you, they affect who you are, your actions, everyone around you. So your values don't just affect who you are. And he also says that you should be willing to stand out for your values. And we definitely do this in the LDP. You can ask almost anyone on campus and they know who we are because we're not afraid to stand out for our values. And then Mark also says that good values lead to happiness naturally. So if you have those good values, you don't have to spend that time searching for happiness because it'll come to you naturally. But how do we create good values? So Mark defines bad values as things that rely on external events. They're superstitious, they're socially destructive, and they're uncontrollable. So things like pleasure, material success, and staying positive are examples of bad values. When I first read this, I thought that staying positive would be a good value, but it's something that's uncontrollable because, as I said, negative things are going to happen, and you need to accept that and move on. And your negative emotions are just as important as your positive ones. All your emotions are there for a reason. But good values, on the other hand, are things that are achieved internally, they're based in reality, they're socially constructive, and they're controllable. So things like honesty, self-respect, creativity. So those are things that no one else can influence. They're only based from within. So in the LDP, we have our shared values: safety, honesty, accountability, respect, empathy, and dedication. And we spend a lot of time learning about our values. So during team weekend, we had G give us this presentation on the value of values. And our values are so important to us that we learn them during team week. So the very first and most important week, arguably in the LDP, is team week. And we learn about our values then because they're so important to us. And the last chapter is that you are always choosing. And to sum this chapter up, can use this quote here that Mark writes. We don't always control what happens to us, but we always control how we interpret what happens to us, as well as how we respond. So I really like this because bad things are going to happen, and the only thing that you have control of is how you respond and how you interpret things. When I read this, I thought about a time that I was climbing a rock wall, and I thought I couldn't do it, and I responded really negatively. I just wanted to give up. But I had someone climb up beside me, and he remained really calm, and he told me, "You can do this." And he responded as he should have, and as a result, I was able to get to the top of the wall. So in the LDP, we have our accountability. So we know that we've done something wrong, and we hold ourselves accountable, and we say, I'm going to hold myself accountable for what I did. So we don't blame anyone else for that, just ourselves. And then Brock Ward, our new LDP president, during his project this semester, MLK Day, he was thrown another side project, and he had no idea that this was going to happen until the day of. And instead of freaking out or not knowing what to do, he remained calm and he delegated the tasks. And as a result, we were able to get more things done than we originally thought. And then lastly, this reminded me of the locus of control. So you can either have an internal locus of control, which means I control my destiny, no one else can change that. The things I do, I'm the only one that can influence those. Or you can have an external locus of control, which states that others control your destiny and you have no say over that. So I really liked this book. As I said, I learned a lot from it. Let's see here. So I challenge you all to go out and take a risk like I did with this book. Read a book that's in a genre you've never read before, or cook a new recipe, something you've never done before, or even listen to a new musical artist. Just do something that you would have never done before, because I promise you'll learn a lot from it.